What's up with the Galleria Mall? Coleridge Yacht Club opened their gates to the public for Fort Lauderdale Mayor Dean Trentalis' town meeting regarding the plans for the Galleria Mall. Currently, the developer is requesting 9 30-story towers of 3,200 affordable rental units with stores incorporated around and in the base of the towers. The mayor is not happy with the plan as it stands and feels like his hand is being forced by the new Live Local Act, approved by the legislature in 2024.
I think it's necessary for all of us to understand what the new laws are in existence, knowing that it's not just about Fort Lauderdale zoning laws and zoning codes, but it's now much of this is going to be regulated by state statute. Many of you may have heard of this concept called Live Local, and that's a state statute that was passed a while back. And what it does is it says to the communities throughout the state, hey, we want to make sure that communities build affordable housing where people can live near their place of work and to be able to afford to live in those places. So essentially what the statute does in many ways, and we're going to hear more about it tonight, what the statute does is it kind of ties our hands. And it says to the cities, hey, you may have zoning laws, you may have certain building requirements, but if a developer comes to your town and says, we're going to build affordable housing, we're going to build a certain percentage that the law requires us to build, and we're going to put that in the project, then you have no say over what the rest of the project is going to be like.
40% of the 3,200 units will be affordable housing. Local Coleridge residents are rejecting the proposal due to the density in the area, which will only cause more problems with increased traffic and already overburdened infrastructure that has to deal with flooding.
This is the beginning of a process. It's going to begin tonight, but it's not going to end tonight. We will continue to have opportunities to discuss things with the developer. I've been invited by the developer. I know the vice mayor has been invited. I know Susie from the Homeowners Association, Sunrise Intercoastal, has been invited by the developer to come see their plans. I have yet to see them. I kind of put it off because I wanted to first hear from the community. I wanted to first learn more about the Live Local Act. And I wanted to hear the ideas before I went and had a conversation with the developer. And I think this is a better process, a healthier process. And I think that, I think in the end, this could be a win-win for everybody. In the end, I think we can make something successful here. The amount of intensive development so far does scare a lot of people. It scares me. Not only the traffic, right? But also the underground infrastructure. We spent so much money trying to keep up with the influx of population in the city, but to add 3,200 units on such a small site, it raises a lot of questions.
Residents from the gated community of Middle River are also concerned. With 3,200 rental units, residents are concerned about the area's schools. Bayview Elementary, currently an A-rated school, will be overwhelmed.
As to how the school board is doing their density calculations, and I'm not sure that I'm well versed enough to really talk about it in more detail, other than to say that we do a review that then includes the school board. So they look at it for student station fees and classrooms, and they determine, well, okay, you have an impact this great, and it's going to increase the number of student stations that are needed or increase to a full classroom, and then the applicant has to deal with that as well. So they have to interact with the school board to get those things sorted out.
What about neighborhood compatibility?
Many of us think neighborhood compatibility means you can't build a 30-story building next to a 1-story single-family home, right? And that's kind of what we have here. A lot of 1- and 2-story. In fact, the road behind the Galleria is 2-story apartment buildings, right? So, but that's not how neighborhood compatibility works here, correct? No. Neighborhood compatibility is more like what Anthony said. They go a mile. They take a string and go a mile around the area, and if there's a building that achieved a certain height within that mile, they can go up to that height. In this particular case, the Celine building on the beach is 300 feet. So that's why they've come back with 300 feet. That hasn't been accepted yet, and that hasn't been determined yet, but that's how they first came to us. So the idea is, obviously, we need to bring this project down to a size that we can all accept, right?
This is only the beginning, and your voice matters. Residents across Florida are speaking up. We need to urge state legislatures to fix the Live Local Act before it permanently changes the character of our neighborhoods. As it stands now, this law could be devastating. It could have devastating impacts on communities like yours. It is critical that Tallahassee hears from us, not just the developers. Hit like if you believe residents deserve a say. Subscribe for updates and community stories as this issue unfolds. You'll find links in the description below to the Live Local Act, statute, and a plain language explanation of what it really means for our neighborhoods. The mayor and the city attorneys can't change state law, but together we can. I'm Karen Foster with Signature International Real Estate. Take care.